I arrive at my parents' house 15 minutes late. Bottle of Merlot clutched in my hand like a peace offering. The driveway is already full. Mom's sedan, Dad's pickup, and Karen's shiny Volkswagen that I helped her finance last year when hers died on the highway. I park on the street and check my reflection in the rearview mirror. My eyes look tired. 7 straight days at the office will do that. The familiar smell of pot roast hits me as I push open the front door. Sunday dinner at the Price family home in Grand Rapids, a tradition as predictable as Dad's complaints about property taxes and Mom's questions about my love life. There she is. Mom calls from the kitchen. She wipes her hands on her apron and hurries over to kiss my cheek. At 59, Brenda Price still moves with the energy of someone 20 years younger, except when she needs money for medical bills. Then the complaints about her back make her sound 80. Sorry I'm late, I say, handing her the wine. The quarterly reports were due Friday, but the numbers from marketing were all wrong, so I had to, oh honey, save the boring office talk. Mom waves her hand dismissively. Karen's been checking her phone all night. Something exciting is happening with her new app. Of course she has. Of course there is. Dad looks up from his newspaper, glasses perched on his nose. Jeanette, did you hear about that new development they're building downtown? Property values are going to tank. Hi to you too, Dad. I kiss the top of his head, his gray hair thinning in the same pattern as mine will someday. The dining room table is already set. The good china, not the everyday plates. A Sunday dinner special occasion. Mom normally saves these for Christmas and Easter. Karen bounces in from the living room, phone clutched in her hand. At 26, my sister still has the exuberance of a teenager, a quality our parents have always found charming rather than exhausting. Jeanette, she hugs me with one arm. Her attention clearly divided between me and whatever notification just lit up her screen. You will not believe what's happening with my app. The investors are dinner's ready. Mom interrupts, carrying in the pot roast like she's presenting the crown jewels. Arthur, put that paper down. Karen phones away at the table. You know the rules. Dad folds his newspaper precisely, the same way he's done it for the 30 years I can remember. Karen shoots one last glance at her screen before tucking it into her pocket, her fingers twitching as if physically pained by the separation. We settle into our usual seats. Dad at the head, Mom at the foot, Karen and I facing each other across the middle. The familiarity of it almost soothes me. Almost, how's work, Jeanette? Dad asks, passing the mashed potatoes. Before I can answer, Karen's phone vibrates loudly against her leg. She pulls it out, gasps at the screen, then looks up, apologetically. Sorry, but it's Trevor from the incubator. I have to take this. She's up and out of the room before anyone can object. Mom beams after her. That girl is going places. Her new wellness app is getting so much attention from those Silicon Valley people, just like her last 3 apps. I think but don't say. Instead, I take a large sip of wine. The quarterly reports look good, I offer, returning to Dad's question. We're up 12% from last year, which means the distinctive sound of my wine glass being tapped with a spoon cuts me off. I look up to find Dad standing, his expression unusually solemn. Since we're all here, he begins just as Karen slips back into her seat. Your mother and I have an announcement. Something in his tone makes my stomach tighten. I set my fork down carefully. We've decided to sell the house. The words hang in the air, I blink, processing. The house I grew up in. The house with the crooked mailbox I helped Dad fix when I was 9. The house with the foundation I paid $14,000 to repair after the flood 2 years ago. But why, I ask? I thought you were planning to stay here through retirement. Mom reaches for Dad's hand across the table. We were, but plans change. She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes, and we've decided to give all the equity to Karen. My wine glass freezes halfway to my lips. All of it. The question comes out smaller than I intended. It's about $200,000 after the mortgage. Dad says, nodding proudly at my sister. She's in final negotiations with some West Coast venture capital firm. This will get her across the finish line. The room spins slightly. The $200,000 to Karen for another app. Mom's the emergency surgery. I hear myself say all $11,000. The foundation repair $14,000. Your truck transmission. Karen's coding boot camps. $25,000 total. At last count. My brain flips through the checks I've written over the past 7 years like a Rolodex of familial obligation. What about me? The wine glass slips from my fingers, shattering against the hardwood floor. Red liquid splashes across my shoes, the floorboards looking eerily like blood. None of us move. I've put everything into this family. I continue, my voice steadier than I feel. I turned down a job in Denver. For $30,000 more a year because you said you needed me here. Mom's face clouds. Oh, honey, you're established. Karen needs the chance you've already had established. I laugh. The sound's sharp, even to my own ears. I renewed my apartment lease last month again. Because every time I save enough for a down payment, someone in this family has an emergency. Dad's expression hardens the way it always does when I question the family hierarchy. Your sister deserves this opportunity, Jeanette. This app could be worth millions. I look at Karen, expecting at least a flicker of discomfort, of recognition. Her eyes dart away. Her fingers already back on her phone screen. I need some air. I push back from the table, bits of glass crunching under my shoes. Jeanette, don't be dramatic. Mom calls after me. The pot roast will get cold. The front porch is cool compared to the suffocating dining room. My hands tremble as I pull out my phone and text Marn Walsh, the only friend who's heard every installment of the Price family saga. Can we talk tomorrow? It's important. The three dots appear immediately. Marn never leaves me on red. Coffee shop by your office. 8 am. I type back. Yes, thank you. Through the window I see them continuing dinner without me. Dad gesturing enthusiastically. Karen nodding. Mom serving seconds. The perfect family portrait minus the inconvenient older daughter, who keeps pointing out the flaws in the composition. Family comes first. How many times have I said those words? Believed them, lived by them. But looking at them now, I wonder when exactly I stopped being considered family and became merely a resource to be tapped. The night air feels cleaner than it has any right to. I take a deep breath and make a decision that feels 7 years overdue. The next morning, the coffee shop buzzes with morning commuters as I spot Marn at our usual corner table. She's hunched over her phone, brow furrowed, looking more like someone preparing for a deposition than a casual coffee date. When she sees me, her professional credit union smile flickers briefly before settling into something more serious. I ordered your usual, she says, pushing a steaming latte toward me. You look like you didn't sleep. Is it that obvious? I sink into the chair, my shoulder bag heavy with the weight of Sunday's revelation. The family dinner was worse than I expected. Marn glances around before leaning forward. Listen, Jeanette, before you tell me about dinner, there's something I need to share. I saw something at work I shouldn't tell you about, but as a friend I can't keep quiet, my stomach knots. Marn's position at Grand Rapids Community Credit Union often puts her in contact with financial information she shouldn't discuss outside work. Whatever has her breaking protocol must be serious. There's a new Halilak lien against your parents' house, she whispers. 70,000 from Midwest Financial filed 3 weeks ago. The coffee turns bitter in my mouth. That's impossible. They just told me yesterday they're selling the house to give Karen 200,000 for her app. That's what made me look twice. Marn's fingers tap nervously on her cup. The signatures looked off. I've seen your dad's signature on documents before. This wasn't it. The implications crash over me like ice water. A home equity line of credit, 70,000. Signatures that looked off in a sudden decision to sell the family home. I need to go, I say, leaving my coffee untouched. That night, I log into the family financial accounts. 7 years ago, when Mom needed emergency surgery and Dad was between jobs, they added me to their accounts for just in case. Like everything else, that temporary measure became permanent. Another responsibility I shouldered without complaint. My screen illuminates the darkened apartment as I pull up Dad's credit report. There it is, a new HELOC from Midwest Financial, to 70,000 opened 22 days ago, fully drawn. My hands shake as I dig deeper, requesting the loan documents through my financial advisor contact. The PDFs arrive in my inbox at 11:38 p.m. I print everything, spreading the papers across my dining table. The forgeries are laughably obvious. Dad's signature missing his characteristic underscore. Mom's signature with loops that are too rounded, too feminine. A caricature of how a woman should write. I've seen that handwriting before on birthday cards, on loan applications for previous startups. My sister's handwriting attempting to pass as our parents. Bank fraud, a felony. Prison time. My printer hums back to life as I print out years of financial statements. The 11,000 for Mom's surgery. The 25,000 for Karen's failed startups. The 14,000 foundation repair. All with my signature, all for my accounts. I create a new folder on my desktop, family meeting. Methodically, I scan and save every document, every signature comparison, every transaction evidence. At 20:13 am, my phone lights up with a text from Marn. You okay? Look shell-shocked this morning. No, but I will be. Can you testify about the signatures if needed? The three dots pulse for nearly a minute before her response appears. Professionally, I shouldn't have told you anything, but as your friend, absolutely. The next morning, my colleague Steve notices me staring blankly at my monitor. Rough weekend, he asks, placing a coffee on my desk. You know I can cover for you if you need a personal day. Thanks. I manage. Might take you up on that soon. At lunch, I call my college roommate in Denver. Still have that position open at your firm? I ask without preamble. Jeanette, yeah, they're still looking. You finally ready to escape the family vortex? I don't answer directly. Not yet. That evening, my financial advisor confirms what I already know. These signatures aren't legitimate, or he says over the phone. If you're asking professionally, I'd advise the account holder to report this immediately. And if I'm asking as a friend, he pauses. Then I'd say whoever did this is counting on family loyalty to avoid consequences. Alone in my apartment, I spread the evidence across my coffee table. 7 years of statements, thousands of dollars flowing one direction from me to them. The realization settles over me like concrete. My sacrifice wasn't appreciated. It was expected. My phone sits heavy in my hand. The bank's fraud department number pulled up on the screen. One call, that's all it would take to start an investigation. But families deserve one chance to make things right. Even families like mine. This isn't about money, I whisper to the empty room. It's about respect, I text all of them. Emergency family meeting tomorrow night, 7:00 p.m., non-negotiable. When I arrive the next evening, they're already seated around the dining room table, the same table where Sunday's bombshell dropped. Dad looks irritated. Mom worried. Karen distracted by her phone. None of them notice the folder tucked under my arm. I place it on the table and open it methodically, arranging the documents in neat rows. Credit reports, loan documents, signature comparisons, the 70,000 HELOC paperwork. Karen, I say, my voice steady despite my trembling hands. Explain this. Her phone slips from her fingers, clattering on the hardwood. Mom leans forward, confusion spreading across her face as she examines the papers. Karen, what is this 7,000? This isn't the app money. Karen's eyes dart between our parents and the door, a cornered animal looking for escape. Dad picks up the loan document, his face darkening as understanding dawn. It's not what it looks like. Karen begins, her voice small. It's exactly what it looks like, I interrupt. Bank fraud. It's a felony. Mom's hand flies to her mouth as Karen crumbles, tears spilling down her cheeks. I needed it for the app. The investors were backing out. I just needed bridge funding. Dad moves from shock to panic. His eyes meeting Mom's in silent communication before both turned to me. I recognize that look. The same look they gave me when Mom needed surgery money. When the foundation cracked. When Karen's last venture failed. This is bank fraud. I repeat, standing up. I'm calling the bank. Dad moves faster than I've seen in years, positioning himself between me and the door. You will not send your sister to prison. Our Mom whispers, but he continues. We are a family, he insists, voice rising. We will fix this. You will not call anyone. We forbid you. I look at them. Really look at them. Dad blocking my exit like I'm the threat. Mom already calculating how to contain the damage. Karen, tears conveniently flowing. Now that she's caught, I will not pay for her crime. I say, walking past Dad toward the door, and I won't be part of your cover-up. The next morning, Karen's Facebook post appears on my phone at 6:42 a.m. Just as I'm pouring my first cup of coffee. I nearly drop the mug when I see the notification. Karen Price has mentioned you in a post. The screen fills with her tearful selfie, mascara artfully smudged beneath her eyes. 3 paragraphs of text follow, a masterclass in victimhood. My heart is breaking today. When family betrays you, it cuts deeper than any wound. My sister Jeanette has always been jealous of me, of my dreams, my ambition, my potential. Now she's actively sabotaging the biggest opportunity of my life, because she can't stand to see me succeed where she's played it safe. I scroll. Coffee forgotten. Stomach acid burning up my throat. She's abandoning our parents when they need support the most. All because she can't see past her own bitterness. Mom and Dad gave us everything, and this is how she repays them. By threatening to destroy our family over a simple misunderstanding about finances. The final paragraph is a rallying cry for sympathy. I'm not giving up on my dreams or my family. Please keep us in your thoughts as we navigate this difficult time. Families should stand together, not tear each other apart. Within minutes, her post has 57 likes and 23 comments. By the time I shower and dress, my phone vibrates nonstop with notifications. Cousin Rebecca, how could you do this to your sister? Uncle Frank, your father is devastated. Call him immediately. Aunt Susan, I always knew you were the cold one, but this is beyond understanding. I silence the phone, slip it into my purse, and head to work. The strange calm that settles over me feels almost supernatural. My hands should be shaking, my heart should be racing. Instead, I feel oddly steady, like I finally reached solid ground after years of sinking in quicksand. At lunch, I create a new folder on my laptop, Family Documentation. Inside I start organizing subfolders methodically. Social media attacks, timeline of fraud, threatening messages, financial history, 7 years of canceled plans, emergency loans, and deferred dreams reduced to clinical categories and timestamped evidence. When I return from the break room with fresh coffee, my email notification pings from Arthur Price to extended family. Subject: supporting Karen's business venture. I'm not in the to field, I'm blind copied. An oversight that tells me everything about how carefully my father crafted this message. Our daughter Karen stands at the precipice of extraordinary success with her wellness application that will help thousands of people live healthier lives. As family, we have always supported each other's dreams. Unfortunately, Jeanette has chosen this moment to create division over a simple financial arrangement to help Karen secure her funding. We ask for your prayers and understanding during this difficult time. I screenshot it, save it to the appropriate folder, and continue working as if I just filed another quarterly report. By evening, my mother has left 3 voicemails, each more tearful than the last. The final one catches me as I'm preparing dinner. Jeanette, please. Her voice breaks. You're tearing this family apart. Call me back. We can fix this if you just be reasonable. I save the recording, categorize it, and eat my salmon with mechanical precision. When my professional social media accounts start receiving anonymous comments, Family Betrayer appears under my latest LinkedIn post about data visualization. I document those too. Each piece of evidence brings that strange calm deeper into my bones. The lawyer I consult the next day, a colleague's brother who specializes in financial fraud, reviews my organized documentation with raised eyebrows. Most people come in here emotional, disorganized. He says, scrolling through my timeline. You've done half my job already. Data analysis is what I do. I reply, the first smile in days briefly crossing my face. The recording of your father's threat about preventing you from reporting the crime that's particularly valuable. He notes, tapping the screen. Have you considered a restraining order? Not yet, but I'm keeping my options open. 3 days later, I'm walking to my car after work when a familiar pickup truck pulls into the lot. My father's Ford F-150. The one I paid to repair 2 years ago. I keep walking, keys clutched between my fingers like the self-defense videos recommend. Though I never thought I'd use the technique against my own parents. They intercept me before I reach my sit-in. My mother looks smaller somehow. Her normally perfect hair slightly disheveled. My father looms larger than usual, his jaw set in the expression that preceded every childhood punishment. We need to talk, he says, voice lowered. Despite the empty parking lot, this mess on social media, you need to control it. I haven't posted anything, I reply, voice steady despite the hammering in my chest. My mother steps forward, hands twisting her purse strap. Karen is just scared. Honey, you need to go online and post that this is all a family misunderstanding. Tell everyone you support your sister. The request is so absurd I almost laugh. You're asking me to lie for her, after she publicly accused me of being a family betrayer. It's to protect the family. My mother pleads, reaching for my arm. I step back. Please, Jeanette, I will not lie to cover up her fraud. The words come out clear and firm like they belong to someone stronger than I've ever been. My father steps closer, his bulk blocking the setting sun. If you don't stop this investigation and fix the public damage, you're no longer our daughter. The threat hangs in the air between us. I glance up at the security camera mounted above the employee entrance, its red light blinking steadily. Another piece of evidence for my growing collection. I've been no longer your daughter since the moment you decided to give Karen everything while expecting me to pay for it. I say, stepping around them to unlock my car. Good night. That evening, the messages of support begin to arrive. Quiet counterpoints to the family onslaught. Marn, my spare room is yours if you need space. My college roommate, that Denver position's still open. Boss asked about you yesterday, a law school friend. Happy to review any documents pro bono. Just send them over. The next morning, my boss calls me into her office. I expect a reprimand about personal issues affecting my work, but instead she offers a flexible schedule. Family crises are temporary, she says. Your talent isn't. We'll work around whatever you need right now. When the bank's formal inquiry arrives by certified mail 3 days later, I stare at the envelope for a full 5 minutes before opening it. The HELOC lender requests a written statement regarding potentially fraudulent signatures. I draft my response that night, attaching copies of the evidence I've collected. My hand hovers over the send button for only a moment before clicking. The bank's fraud department opens an official investigation within 48 hours. My father's panicked call comes at midnight, his voice slurring slightly from what smells even through the phone like bourbon. What have you done? He demands. They're saying there's an investigation. Do you know what this means? I don't answer. Just document the call's time and content. Karen arrives at my apartment the next evening, uninvited. Her eyes are genuinely red this time, not the careful cosmetic smudging from her Facebook photo. Please, Jeanette, she whispers, standing in my doorway. I'll lose everything if this goes through. I look at my sister. Really look at her for what feels like the first time in years. Her expensive highlights. The designer purse I know she can't afford. The entitled expectation in her eyes that has been there since childhood. You chose this when you forged their signatures. I say quietly and close the door. The next morning, I file a formal police report about the forgery. I make certified copies of all evidence for the authorities. I email my landlord about not renewing my lease. I call the Denver office and schedule a preliminary interview. My financial planner helps me separate all remaining family accounts, his eyes widening at each entanglement we unravel. It's like financial quicksand, he mutters. One wrong step and you'd never get free. I know, I reply. That's why I'm leaving Grand Rapids behind. At that night, the text arrives as I'm checking and listing the first bunch of books. Annual Neighborhood BBQ this Saturday, hosted by Arthur and Brenda Price. 4 p.m. I stare at the group message. 3 little dots appear as neighbors begin responding. Can't wait. We'll bring the potato salad. Looking forward to it. My finger hovers over the screen. Accept or decline. The weight of 29 years of family history presses against my chest. The magnitude of what I'm about to do publicly face them. All sinks into my bones. One last family appearance. I whisper to the empty apartment. I press accept and watch as the notification confirms my response. Within seconds, Mrs. Henderson from across the street replies directly to me. So happy you'll be there, Jeanette. It wouldn't be the same without both Price sisters. She has no idea how right she is. This neighborhood gathering will be nothing like the ones before. The quiet data analyst is bringing receipts. I park my car 3 houses down from my parents' home, giving myself a moment to breathe before facing them. The annual neighborhood BBQ, a tradition dating back to my childhood, feels different today. I smooth my charcoal pencil skirt and adjust my cream blouse, professional armor, for the battle ahead. My phone buzzes. Marn, you sure about this? I text back. No turning back now. The evidence folder sits open on my phone. Documents meticulously organized. Every transaction, every forged signature, every lie. I've practiced what I won't say almost as much as what I might. Voices and laughter drift across perfectly manicured lawns as I approach. Mrs. Winslow, who brought me chicken soup when I had mono in 8th grade, waves from near the drinks table. The Andersons, whose driveway Dad and I shoveled every winter. Chat with the new family from down the block. Then I see them, my family huddled near the grill. Dad flipping burgers with practiced precision. Mom arranging platters. Karen gesturing animatedly to a group hanging on her every word. For a moment, they look like the perfect American family. The illusion almost hurts more than the reality. Dad notices me first. His spatula freezes mid-flip. A burger sizzles. Forgotten, Jeanette. Mrs. Winslow calls, pulling me into a hug. We've missed you at these gatherings. How's work? Busy? But good. I answer, keeping my voice level as Dad whispers something to Mom, whose head snaps up, eyes finding mine. I heard you might be moving, Mrs. Winslow continues. I'm considering a position in Denver. I say loud enough to carry. Karen breaks from her audience, whispers something to her boyfriend Tyler, then weaves through the crowd toward Mom and Dad. I watch them confer, heads bent together, occasional glances my way. Planning, always planning. I accept a glass of lemonade from Mr. Anderson and position myself strategically between the Winslows and the Myers neighbors who've known me since I wore braces and rode a purple bicycle with streamers. People who might actually listen. Arthur booms Mr. Peterson, slapping Dad on the back. Tell everyone about Karen's big news. Dad straightens, showman smile in place. Our entrepreneur daughter has some exciting developments. Karen, why don't you share? Karen steps forward, camera ready. My wellness app is gaining serious traction. We're finalizing talks with investors who see the potential. It's all happening so fast. The same script she's been reciting for months. The same promise of future millions that justified the 70,000 theft. Mom materializes beside Mrs. Keller, who's been asking about the for sale sign in their yard. You know how crazy the market is, Mom redirects. We've been thinking of downsizing for years. I sip my lemonade, letting the tartness ground me. Across the yard, Uncle Roger and Aunt Patricia create a buffer between me and anyone who might ask uncomfortable questions. Tyler, Karen's boyfriend, approaches with rehearsed casualness. Jeanette, he says loudly, I want to thank you for always supporting Karen. Family backing means everything for entrepreneurs. Several heads turn, nodding appreciatively at this public acknowledgement of my supposed generosity. The narrative they've crafted is working. I'm the established older sister, the jealous one, the obstacle to Karen's inevitable success. I smile tightly. How thoughtful of you to say so. Mrs. Winslow touches my arm. Your sister mentioned you were having a hard time with them selling the family home. Change is difficult, dear. Actually, I say, careful to keep my voice pleasant. I'm excited about new beginnings for everyone. For the next hour, I weave through conversations, sidestepping landmines, correcting gentle misconceptions. No, I haven't been struggling professionally. Yes, the Denver opportunity is substantial. No, Karen and I aren't competitive. We simply have different priorities. Dad watches me like a hawk, growing increasingly agitated. His voice carries across the yard. Family loyalty is everything in the Price household. Always has been. Mom hovers whenever I speak with neighbors, inserting herself between us with offers of more food or drinks. Karen checks her phone obsessively, thumbs flying over the screen, coordinating their defense in real time. I notice Uncle Roger receiving texts, glancing at me, then responding. Aunt Patricia's smile grows strained as the afternoon progresses, the extended family information network operating at full capacity. Jeanette, Mrs. Hoffman calls. Come tell us about Denver, when would you start? Mom appears instantly. More potato salad. Angela. Arthur just made a fresh batch of burgers. I step away, letting their tactics play out. The truth doesn't need my constant defense. It exists whether they acknowledge it or not. The sun begins its descent, casting long shadows across the yard. Dad's laughter grows louder, more forced with each passing hour. Karen's smile falters whenever she thinks no one's looking. Mom's shoulders grow tight with tension. I'm filling my plate at the dessert table, when Dad finally approaches directly, positioning himself between me and the other guests. You're embarrassing the family, he hisses, voice low but intense. I set down my plate carefully, meeting his eyes. Am I embarrassing you, Dad? A muscle jumps in his jaw. People nearby pause in their conversations, sensing conflict. Or, I continue, my voice steady, but clear enough to carry. Did Karen embarrass you when she forged your signatures on a $170,000 fraudulent mortgage loan? The words land like stones in still water. Ripples of silence spread outward from where we stand. Conversations halt mid-sentence. Someone's plastic fork clatters against a plate. Dad's face drains of color. Mom freezes by the cooler. Picture of iced tea suspended in mid-pour. Karen's mouth opens and closes without sound. Jeanette. Dad recovers first, his voice strained with forced casualness. This is a family misunderstanding, not the place. Arthur, Mr. Jacobson, steps forward, brow furrowed. He's been our neighbor for 20 years. The bank manager who approved my first car loan. Is that true? Forged signatures. Dad's eyes dart around the yard, seeking escape routes that don't exist. George, this is complicated. A simple misunderstanding that $70,000 in fraud isn't simple or a misunderstanding, Mr. Jacobson says, the banker and him overtaking the neighbor. It's a felony. Mom sets down the picture with shaking hands. We should discuss this privately. But the damage is done. The careful narrative they've constructed collapses in real time. Neighbors exchange glances. Phones appear in hands. The whispers begin. I don't stay to watch the implosion. I've placed the truth in the light. That was all I needed to do. As I walk to my car, my phone begins buzzing with notifications. Mrs. Winslow, is this why they're really selling the house? Mr. Anderson, we always thought something seemed off. Even Mr. Jacobson, please call me Monday. We need to discuss this officially. My finger hovers over the notifications. I could explain further. Fan the flames. Ensure the complete destruction of my family's reputation. Instead, I text a single response to all. This is now a legal matter. I can't discuss it further. 7 years of financial support. 7 years of sacrificed opportunities. 7 years of being the family's safety net. 3 minutes to tell the truth. As I drive away, I catch a final glimpse in my rear-view mirror. Dad gesturing frantically. Mom covering her face. Karen running toward the house. The picture-perfect family portrait shattered beyond repair. Not by me, by their own actions. The weight that lifts from my shoulders feels almost physical in its absence. On Monday, I sit at the edge of Anna Lane's floral couch, surrounded by concerned family faces arranged in a perfect semicircle. The living room has been transformed into what I can only describe as an intervention, complete with tissue boxes strategically placed on end tables and photo albums stacked on the coffee table. The family's last stand. Uncle Robert clears his throat. Jeanette. We're all here because we love you and your family. My family, not our family. The distinction isn't lost on me. This situation has gotten out of hand, Aunt Helene adds, her voice dropping to a concerned whisper. Family business should stay private. I resist the urge to laugh. Where was this concern for privacy when Karen was dragging my name through social media mud? When neighbors were texting me about my jealousy problem? Arthur shifts forward. His lawyer, a balding man with expensive cufflinks nodding beside him. We've prepared some paperwork to resolve this. Misunderstanding. I repeat, the word acid on my tongue. Is that what we're calling bank fraud now? Karen's eyes well with tears. Right on cue, Jeanette, I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. No admission of forging signatures. No acknowledgement of stealing 70,000. Just a vague apology constructed to make me look unreasonable if I don't immediately forgive and forget. The lawyer slides a document across the coffee table. This is a simple family settlement. You cover the Hillock temporarily. I interrupt, yes. He nods as if I'm finally seeing reason. Once Karen's venture capital funding comes through, she'll repay every penny. The investors are extremely interested. Just like they were in her meal planning app, and her fitness tracker and her meditation platform. My sister is nothing if not consistently delusional. We need you to withdraw your statements to the bank, Arthur says, his voice hardening, and stop cooperating with their investigation. Brenda reaches for my hand. I pull it away. Do you understand what you're doing? Uncle Robert asks. This could destroy Karen's future over one mistake. 1,7,000 mistake. I correct. You're overreacting. Annie Lane says this is what family does. We protect each other. Brenda dabs at her eyes. My blood pressure is through the roof. The doctor says the stress is making my condition worse. Arthur follows immediately. The bank is threatening foreclosure. Jeanette, the house could be gone in 60 days. He opens a photo album pointing to a faded picture of me at 80 years old. Front teeth missing. Standing proudly next to a newly planted maple tree in the backyard. This is our home. Your home. I realize it stopped being my home the moment they decided to give everything to Karen while expecting me to foot the bill again. Karen's boyfriend, Derek, a man I've met exactly twice, leans forward. You know, Jeanette, some people might think you're just jealous of your sister's success. The room falls silent, waiting for my reaction, for my surrender. I reach for my phone instead, opening my email. The notification I've been waiting for arrived this morning, but I've saved it for exactly this moment. The Denver position was still open. I say, my voice steady for the first time in weeks. I accepted it already. 30,000 raise effective immediately. Brenda gasps. Arthur's face darkens. I've signed a lease on an apartment near downtown. The security deposit cleared yesterday. I scroll through my phone showing them the confirmation, and I've reserved a U-Haul truck for next weekend. One way, the lawyer clears his throat, tapping the settlement agreement. Miss Price, perhaps you're not understanding the gravity. I understand perfectly. I stand up, adjusting my purse strap over my shoulder. I've sent an email to your office declining your settlement offer. Check your inbox, Jeanette. Brenda pleads. Think about what you're doing. I have thought about it for 7 years. I look around the room at the faces of people who expect me to set myself on fire to keep them warm. The truth matters more than comfortable lies. I walk out, feeling their stares burning into my back. Back at my apartment, I address the package I've prepared over the last week. Inside, a complete dossier of evidence, bank statements, signature comparisons, timeline of events, Hillock documentation addressed anonymously to the bank's lead investigator. My formal statement to the police department sits ready in my briefcase, waiting to be finalized tomorrow. I've already sent certified copies of all documentation to the credit bureaus, protecting my credit from the imminent fallout. This isn't revenge. Revenge would be telling Karen I've known about her non-existent investors for months. Ever since I overheard her business call that was actually a rehearsed monologue for potential family funding. This is closure. My phone buzzes with yet another text from Arthur. I silence it without reading. 3 days later, the house of cards collapses spectacularly. The Hillock fraud triggers an automatic default on the mortgage. The pending sale of the house falls through when the buyer's attorney discovers undisclosed liens. Arthur and Brenda have no choice but to file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Exactly what they hope to avoid by pressuring me. Karen gets sued by the bank independently of the family. Turns out her promising wellness app had exactly 0 investors. The fancy meetings were coffee dates with friends. The promising partnerships non-existent. 7 years of financial manipulation exposed in 7 days. My name is officially cleared of any involvement. Not that I needed official validation. I know who I am, who I've always been. Saturday morning, I close the back of the U-Haul truck, securing the last of my possessions. Everything I own fits inside this metal box on wheels. It feels lighter than I expected. I slide into the driver's seat and adjust the mirrors. The house I grew up in is visible in the rear view. The crooked mailbox, the maple tree I planted, the window of my childhood bedroom. It grows smaller as I pull away. My phone remains silent. No desperate calls, no guilt-laden texts. They've finally accepted I'm beyond their reach. The GPS on my dashboard glows blue in the early morning light. Proceed to Denver, Colorado. The automated voice announces. Highway signs blur past as I accelerate onto the interstate. Each mile marker puts more distance between me and Grand Rapids. Between the person I was and the person I'm becoming. Somewhere near the state line, I realize the weight I've carried for years has lifted. My shoulders relax. My breathing deepens. For the first time in years, possibilities stretch before me like the open road. I'm finally free, I whisper and press the gas pedal. The morning sun paints the Rocky Mountains, gold as I sip my coffee on the balcony of my Denver apartment. 6 months since I left Grand Rapids, and the view still takes my breath away. Below me, the city awakens. Joggers with dogs. Coffee shop lights flickering on. The hum of early traffic. Nothing like the stifled quiet of my old neighborhood. My phone pings with an email notification. I tap it open. A smile spreading across my face. Performance bonus approved. After just 6 months. The data analytics firm values my work enough for an additional $5,000. I've already earmarked it for my retirement account. Something I never had the luxury to consider before. Back inside, my workspace sits in the corner by the floor-to-ceiling windows. Dual monitors, ergonomic chair, a potted succulent thriving in the sun. No more hunching over a kitchen table with stacks of bills, mine and my family's surrounding me. On my bookshelf, photos tell the story of my new life. Weekend hiking trips with my adventure group. A company dinner where I received recognition for streamlining our client reporting system. Marn's visit last month. Her eyes wide with surprise when she saw how I'd transformed. I hardly recognize you, she'd said. You walk differently, like the weight of the world isn't on your shoulders anymore. My calendar hangs beside the photos, marked with plans that revolve around my interests, not family emergencies. A photography workshop next weekend, dinner with colleagues tonight, a museum exhibition on Sunday. The phone rings, interrupting my morning routine. Aunt Susan, my mother's sister. My shoulders tense briefly before I remind myself, I'm 3 states away. I can always hang up. Jeanette, honey. Her voice carries that familiar blend of forced cheerfulness and underlying tension. Hope I'm not calling too early. Morning, Aunt Susan. What's up? She clears her throat. Well, I thought you should know. Your parents received something from the IRS last week, a 189C form. My heart rate remains steady. 6 months ago, this call would have sent me into a panic. For cancellation of debt, I reply evenly. Because the $70,000 HELOC and $15,000 in other debts were discharged in bankruptcy. Yes, exactly. They're considering it taxable income. Your parents owe an additional $25,000 they don't have. I take another sip of coffee, watching a red-tailed hawk circle above the cityscape. Your father's pride, she pauses meaningfully. Well, he'd never ask himself. But Jeanette, they're really struggling. Just this one last time. I'm no longer available for that, I say, my voice calm but firm. The same request, but my response completely different. Silence hangs between us for several seconds. I understand, she finally says, though her tone suggests otherwise. After we hang up, I sit with the feeling. No crushing guilt, no desperate calculations of what I could sacrifice to help them. Just quiet certainty that I've made the right decision. My therapist calls it progress. You've identified the role you played in your family system. She told me last session. The safety net, the rescuer. Now you're writing a new story. In Grand Rapids, therapy would have seemed a selfish luxury. Here, it's essential maintenance, like changing the oil in my car. I've learned that boundaries aren't walls. They're healthy definitions of where I end and others begin. Tonight, I'll meet my colleagues to celebrate my promotion. Tomorrow, I'll help at the financial literacy workshop I volunteer with monthly. The coordinator paired me with a 20-something woman whose family dynamics echo my own parents, who treat her paycheck as a communal resource. You can say no without explaining why I told her last time. No is a complete sentence. My phone pings again, and email notification about my parents' house being sold at auction last week. I feel a brief pang. Memories of childhood birthdays and holiday dinners flickering through my mind, but no regret. In my journal this morning, I wrote, setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. The phone rings again. Marn with her weekly update on Grand Rapids gossip. You won't believe what happened at Miller's Grocery. She starts, launching into a story about people I once knew. I laugh genuinely. That's not my world anymore. As we chat, I watch the sun climb higher over the mountains, coffee warm in my hand. The smile that crosses my face reflects something I'd forgotten existed. Peace. Not the temporary relief of solving someone else's crisis, but the sustained quiet of being responsible only for my own life. Have you ever had to choose between family expectations and your own well-being? What would you have done in Jeanette's position? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below.